Illumination can't make a horror movie, so I'm taking these 3 Illumination movie posters and turning them into horror. Starting with The Secret Life of Pets. First thing first, let's cut out Buddy from his character poster. If you didn't know, character posters are a poster featuring only one character from the movie, and a lot of films have them. But anyways, let's remove the sign on Buddy's side using content-aware fill. Now I'm gonna cut him in half using the pen tool and separate the 2 parts. Because the idea for this poster is to have this dog cut in half by a mysterious culprit. I'm gonna cut out his back legs and his tail so that I can make them lay completely flat. But to hide that ugly transition with the body, I'll paint some fur on top of it.
Nice.
With only 2 legs to hold him up, the back of this half is definitely touching the ground. We're gonna need to paint a solid color behind the first half in order for it to look 3-dimensional. And I'm even painting a highlight on the edge. If you've seen my videos before, you know what's about to happen. Let's import these nice 3D guts and place them inside. I'm gonna puppet warp it so that it touches the ground, and then do the same thing with some other organs. Obviously, they need to be casting shadows on each other's, which reminds me, since they're inside the belly, it should probably cast a shadow on them. But don't you think this ought to be covered in tomato sauce? I'm adding drippings, but also a whole bottle of suspicious red liquid underneath. And if you're still here watching me cut a dog in half, the next logical step is probably to subscribe. I'll just erase the small patches on the side because they don't look very good. The problem is, the edges look like trash. So let's paint some fur and try to blend it in as much as possible with the original.
Nice job, team.
But this part of his body is at an angle, which is weird because the floor is supposed to be flat. So let's straighten it out using a guide for reference. Now we can repeat the process with the other half, but using different guts. And just for fun, let's mask part of the guts to overlap with the other half of the dog.
Stop it. Get some help.
Of course, we need to paint some more shadows, but also a little bit of ketchup leaking out. If you thought this is gross enough, well, think again, because we're adding some more insides. Now we can paint fur to fix the edges, and this time we're actually done with the body horror, I promise. But he's looking a little too happy, so I'm cutting out another head from this photo, where he looks even more happy. But if we replace the pupils and add some extra eyelids at the bottom, as well as a bunch of tomato sauce in his mouth, I think it looks a lot better. Let's just paint some contact shadows on the floor so he doesn't look like he's floating. I did mention a mysterious culprit at the start of the video, and well, that's the bunny. We all know he's evil. Anyways, I'm gonna warp him so that he's peeking on the edge of the poster, and I'll cut out his arm from another scene of the movie. Now I can fit it onto him, remove the bit of carrot, and make sure it has furry edges. Now, why would I give him an arm? Well, obviously, because he needs it to hold a huge butcher knife. We only need the title to finish this off. And this is the horror version of The Secret Life of Pets. Next up is the Grinch. Let's cut him out from a poster and import a 3D gift. But the gift can't fly, so he's gonna need to hold it. So we're gonna cut out his arms and erase the leftover hand. Now we can puppet warp them in the correct position and shave off a little bit of these elbows, because they're massive. The last step is gonna be manually cutting out hands and warping them around the present. Now it only needs some contact shadows to look good.
Nice job, team.
If he's carrying a present, he probably needs to be wearing the right hat for the job. So let's warp a nice Christmas hat on his head. Now I'll paint a green background and match the present and hat to these green colors. But it is a very special present. But when I'm designing these posters, I spend a lot of time in cafes using public Wi-Fi. The problem is that anyone on that Wi-Fi can see what I'm up to and even steal my data, like my passwords or my banking info. That's why I use Surfshark, the sponsor of today's video, to mask my IP and make my online activity super hard for malicious people to track. But Surfshark is also great when you're trying to watch an anime and it's not available in your country, which definitely has happened to me before. And the best part is, the Surfshark app is super easy to use and you only need one account to protect the devices of your entire family. So if you spend time connected to public networks, or you just enjoy niche anime, Surfshark has got you covered. Go to surfshark.com/HugoDeal or use code HugoDeal at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Thank you so much to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to the design. We need to add some drippings coming out of it that we're going to mask properly. And I'll import the little girl from the movie and make some of her hair stick out of the box, which should give you a pretty good hint at what's going on. Let's also add a stain for some extra details, but I think he should be more proud of what he's done. So let's erase his original mouth and draw the widest smile you've ever seen. I'll make it darker on the inside and paint the lower lips like on the original. Then I'll draw a bunch of teeth to make him look a lot meaner. We can now add a title and make it red, before painting some shadows and highlights. Our final poster is How to Train Your Dragon. And I know it's not an Illumination movie, but you've probably already commented, so thank you for the engagement. First, let's paint the background a dark blue. Now I'll blend in some mountains at the bottom and apply a fog overlay on the rest of the surface. Then I'll import the moon and set its blending mode to screen. But I'm also making it glow a little bit so that it can motivate our lighting later on. With the background out of the way, we should probably import Toothless. The problem is, it's basically impossible to find a decent quality image of him, so I ended up going with a photo of a statue in a theme park. I'm gonna place it properly and then erase the body, because I'll get it from another image and try to color match the two.
Woo! Yeah!
So far, it's looking a lot like the official poster, but not for long. I'm gonna cut out his lower jaw and warp it wide open, before painting the inside of the mouth black. Then I'm gonna draw some weird looking gums and give them some shadows. Now we can paint in some nice aggressive teeth, which takes a while. So I guess now, instead of Toothless, we should call him Toothful? Let's paint some new eyes as well, starting with a green base. Then an aggressive shark-style pupil, and I'm also painting a more frowned eyelid on top of it. Now we can just shade the eye and add some texture. Obviously, I'm doing the same thing to the other eye as well. Okay, so I just realized I don't have any good image of Hiccup. So I looked for a new one, but I still had to upscale it for it to be usable. Anyways, I'm gonna use Select Subject to cut him out, and I'll warp him for him to look less alive. Then I'll mask him inside the dragon's mouth. But he's looking a little too happy considering the situation he's in. So I'm cutting out a new, more scared face and fitting it onto him. And you just have to know it's time for tomato sauce. So I'm painting some drippings, but also adding overlays on top and drawing nice splatters all over the place. Now this just needs some shading. I'll rename this movie How to Get Eaten by Dragons, which I think is a pretty good title, but tell me in the comments what you would have named it, and I'll make sure it looks good. So this is the horror version of How to Train Your Dragon. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'd love to see me make Pixar movie posters into space movies in that one.